Hey guys, Dr. Sil here, medicine and mental health videos. Today we're talking about 5 behaviors that could suggest that you or someone you know may be falling into a depressive episode. Depression or major depressive disorder is an unfortunately common condition. The World Health Organization estimates that there are 300 million people suffering from it, but people don't come forward with it very often, and so if anything, this is an underestimation. The cause of depression is not fully understood. We used to think that it was as simple as problems in the serotonin pathways of the brain and the motivational pathways, but now we know that it's much more complex than that. But what has been well characterized is the fact that depression does often occur episodically. So here are 5 behaviors that suggest that you or someone you know may be falling into a depressive episode. The first behavior I'd like to talk about is isolation. People who are experiencing a depressive episode are more likely to isolate themselves. This can be because the motivation pathways in the brain are dysfunctional. People in a depressive episode can often experience something called anhedonia. Anhedonia doesn't necessarily mean you're feeling sad, but what it means is you just don't feel joy. You don't feel motivated to complete tasks. And therefore, you're more likely to keep isolating and avoiding seeing your friends and family, even if once upon a time you used to enjoy those things. The second behavior I want to talk about is messiness. Even if someone used to be clean and tidy, if you are going into a depressive episode, you may become more and more messy. This is because of several different reasons. Number 1, that motivation pathway we talked about earlier, that's disrupted. And so having the energy and the will to actually have a tidy space could be lost. But number 2, and this is less commonly discussed, is issues with concentration and disorganized thought. If you're in a depressed episode, even the simplest of tasks when you're feeling well can become massively challenging. Things like just taking out the bins can feel like these mountainous chores that you can't even start to address. And so you stay in bed and you avoid taking the rubbish out. Now, continuing on this theme of lack of motivation, another behavior that might suggest you're going into a depressive episode is problems with hygiene. Just taking a shower can feel like a monumental task for someone who's in a depressive episode, and they also might not even see the point in it. If you cannot feel joy, if you aren't motivated to live life, then what's the point of being clean? That's the kind of thought processes that could be happening. The fourth behavior I want to talk about is actually 2 behaviors. It's around sleep and food. And I group these together because if you're in a depressive episode, both of these could happen too much or too little. So you may sleep too little, and especially with depression, you may wake up earlier and earlier, or you might sleep too much, 16 hours, and still feel like you aren't well rested. And with food, sometimes people who are suffering from depression will either eat too much and then feel guilt associated with that, or they don't even have the drive or the motivation to eat anything and they'll eat too little. The 5th and final behavior I want to talk about is around guilt and self-harm. When you're experiencing a depressive episode, you may feel guilty for just being alive. You may feel guilty irrationally, and that is related to thought processes called catastrophization, which do occur in depressive episodes. You make these big conclusions that you are worthless, that life's not worth living. This is the disease talking, and if you're thinking that life's not worth living, then you need to tell someone right now. Thoughts around suicide are no joke, and you need to take them very seriously if you or someone you know are having them. And the sense of guilt and helplessness and, not wanting to live, it's not your fault, but you do need to do something about it. So if you or someone you know identify with some of these behaviors, then it's really important that you talk to your doctor sooner rather than later. You cannot diagnose depression or treat depression based off of YouTube videos. You need to take action today. And I know it can feel like a monumental task, but you only really have one job, and that is to get to the door. Just get to the door of your GP or of your doctor, and they'll do the rest. My heart goes out to those who are suffering, but if you want to help, leave a comment down below, a nice message to those who are suffering. Share your story, share your message, connect with other people, because you're not alone. That's it for this video. If you want to support my channel, you can consider subscribing. You can also like the video so this message gets spread to more people. That helps with the YouTube algorithm. I wish you all a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next video.